everyone, this is Kicking It While Thrifting It. My name is Annie. For those of you who are new to this channel, welcome. And for those of you who are returning to this channel, thank you very much for your continued support. For today's video, I thought what I would do is talk about the top reseller products that I use in my daily business. Now, all of these products can be found on Amazon or eBay, and even in some cases at your local retailer such as Walmart, etc. I did not list links to the products down below because by the time you watch this video, due to the fact that prices fluctuate, it may not be the same price as what I'm listing. However, what I'm trying to do is create a one page of every item I've discussed with a description so that should you want to buy the same item, you can go online and purchase it for yourself. So let's get started. The first item that I use quite frequently is called a Scotty Peeler, and I'm going to come up close so you can take a look at it. Now these normally come in a package of 3 to 4 and they run about $10 online, and what I use these for is to remove price stickers. Now 90% of the time I'm able to remove the price sticker. However, if removing it is going to cause some type of tear or damage to the original packaging, then the sticker just stays on there. I won't remove it. But in most cases I'm able to get it out. And here's a tip. You can use a blow dryer, apply the heat to the sticker, which will loosen the adhesive, and then you can use your Scotty Peeler to lift it out with no problem and no damaging to the package. The next item that I use are poly mailers, and these are mainly for first class items. Now, you will need different types of packaging for your shipping needs. However, I'm going to go over today the ones that I use most frequently, and this is the first one. And I'll use a clear poly mailer and then your regular poly mailer. These can be purchased online, each for anywhere between like $20 and $30 for about 400, and they come in different sizes. So you'll get 100 of each size, say this smaller size, this size, etc. And what I do is I enclose my item in the clear plastic and then I put it in the poly mailer. Now, why do I do that? Because I want to make sure that item is protected from the elements in transit. And for me, it's worth taking this extra step. And coincidentally, we had a package delivered to our home this week, and it sat out at the front of the house for who knows how long. I mean, we went to retrieve it. It was soaked. It had been raining for God knows how many hours, and it was soaked. I don't want that to happen. I don't want any package that leaves here to be delivered to arrive damaged. The goal is always to make sure that the item is packaged to the best of my ability, that it's presentable, and that it arrives to its destination in one piece. The other item that I use quite frequently is a bubble mailer, and I use these for items that are a little bit more delicate. These particular bubble mailers obviously are lined with bubble wrap, and in this particular case I happened to run out, and so I went over to my local Dollar Tree and I was able to find these. These run 2 for $1, but if you go online and you purchase them, I believe you can get about 25 or so for about $18, so you can save costs by buying in bulk. And one tip is you can actually go online, as I found out, on USPS, and you can order free shipping supplies. So they do have a version of the bubble mailer, which is this one here. However, all these supplies that you order from the USPS is for priority mail. So they have a plethora of supplies. They have bubble mailers. There's what's called a Tyvek envelope. There are flat rate letter and legal envelopes. And for those items that do not fit in a poly mailer, then what I do is I use boxes. So I try to repurpose whatever shipping supply that I can, to the extent that the item is in good condition and it's clean. So boxes that arrive at my house, such as something like this, that is not dirty, that doesn't have a lot of labels on it that I have to remove, I will repurpose. And for other items for which I do not have a box, then you have to go online and order them. And in this case, this is a 6x4x4 box that I ordered because I have vintage Hallmark ornaments in my store, and I was also selling my fairy ceramic figurine collection, and I didn't have a box that was appropriate size, so I went online and I ordered. But in general, I don't order any boxes. And I also use, as a resource, USPS. They have a variety size of boxes for free, and if you order them online, they will ship them to your house. So it's very convenient. However, you cannot wait last minute and realize you don't have a box and then attempt to order it, because that delivery can take anywhere between 1 week to a month, as I figured out, or I should say as I experienced. So you have to plan ahead when it comes to that. Now, for the actual securing of the item inside the box, I use a couple of things. One of them are air pillows. And again, I recycle these from packages that I receive at home to the extent that they're in reusable condition, and I store them in a box and use as needed. And I use these to wrap items to secure them in the box to make sure that the item isn't shaking around the box in transit. Apart from that, I often use, this is shredded paper that I collect from my packages, and I'll baggie them up and use as needed. And then finally, when I need to secure an item and I cannot reuse a supply, then I have purchased this bubble wrap, and I received this at a very steep discount. I was very lucky, but this runs about $10. The next step would be applying your label. So what I use is these half sheet labels. I'll come up a little closer here. They're like stickers, and I print these out on my printer. I affix the label to the packaging, and then I use a little bit of tape to extra seal it. But for me, I find these very convenient and a time saver. These run about $15 for 300, but if you all want to avoid that extra expense, what you can do is print it out on your printer, on regular paper, and then use that to attach it. I prefer the label over paper, so I don't mind spending the extra money, but you all definitely don't have to. And I also use other stickers. Apart from the label, I use fragile labels that I apply to the box when it's an item that potentially could break, and I'm trying to give the USPS a heads up to say, hey, you know, handle with care. Whether that happens or not is out of my control, but at least I feel like I've taken every measure to try to make sure that item arrives safely to its destination. And I'm hoping that the buyer sees that too, that I've taken the extra care to make sure that the item is packaged properly, and that I've done everything I can to make sure that it's handled with care. And before I seal the box, I put a thank you sticker on the item. I ordered this roll, it's about $6 for a couple hundred labels, but unfortunately I ordered the wrong size. They're too small. I still use them anyway, but when I'm done with this roll, I will order a size up. And in the meantime, for larger packages, I create my own on labels that I purchased. And here's a tip: when you're thrifting or when you're shopping, especially after school started, where a lot of these school supplies get marked down, and in my case, in my Goodwill, someone had, I guess, a box of labels, and maybe they used 1 or 2 sheets and decided, you know, they didn't want the box anymore. They donated to Goodwill, and here I came by on that off chance, and it was sitting out there, and I purchased it. So I got these labels for next to nothing. So I was very lucky. And again, this is just something that I do. I want the customer to know that when you're shopping in my store, I appreciate your interest, and I am very grateful for the sale. So they get a little thank you from me. And to that extent, printer. Most resellers will use what's called a Dymo or a roller printer, and those run a couple $100. But I already had an HP Office Jet printer that I use. And because I am not sending out 100 items a day, it's not like I'm using the printer to the extent where it's more expensive than if I invested in a roller or Dymo. Maybe sometime in the future I will invest in it, but for right now, the printer works fine. I print out my labels, my thank you labels from that printer, and that works perfectly. Next thing I use is a scale, and this is an Accutech scale. It's battery operated, but it also comes with an adapter that you can plug into the wall. Now, this scale, I believe I paid about $20 for it, and it weighs any item up to 50 pounds, and it's incredibly lightweight. When I first purchased it, I didn't think it was gonna be that sturdy, but lo and behold, I've been using it for a while, and it's still going strong. So, very good item, and honestly, well worth the money I paid for it. Now, the final two items are items that you would primarily use if you're selling clothing. And I do have a few items in my store, so I do use these. The first one is a lint roller. And this is something that I don't buy generic. I buy Scotch-Brite. I've tried trying to save costs, cut costs, and it's just not worth it to me. So this is the brand that I use, and I use this on every single item that is not already prepackaged to remove any kind of lint or anything that might have landed on the garment. And here's a tip. This is also useful if you sell home goods, and I personally don't sell these or haven't sold them, but there are those who sell lampshades. This is a good tool to get into those little crevices and remove the dust of the lampshade. And you can also use these in some cases gently on certain plush toys. And the last item, which a lot of those who sell clothing, they use is a steamer. Now this particular steamer, this Rowenta steamer, is amazing. I actually had it. I use it for my own clothing. So this is something I already had, and I remember I bought it at Bed Bath & Beyond with my 20% off, and I think I paid $50 or $55 for it, and it's awesome. I think it's great. It's a little heavy, but I don't sell that many clothes, so it's not like I have to use it on the daily for several hours. It's one or two pieces and I'm done. That's that. Another tip, and this is what I do, is I also use this to disinfect plushies. So when I get the plushies, most of the times I try to buy the ones that are new with tags, but you have to be careful with the steam and the tags. I still steam it. I wipe the item down with wipe very carefully, and then I steam it to disinfect it. And especially important for those that are gently used or pre-owned, I steam every single one because I want to make sure that the item goes out in good condition and that I feel like I've taken every measure to try to disinfect it. And that's pretty much it. I mean, obviously there's the basics, there's lighting to create these videos, there's a phone to record or a camera, but I'm just talking about the regular reseller tools that you use. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed this content and that you have found this video informative. Don't forget to select the subscribe and notification bell, as I understand that it helps with the YouTube algorithm to make sure that others can find this channel. And also feel free to like and comment. Curious to know, what supplies do you use in your daily business? And if you have a favorite or you have one that you purchased that maybe you thought you'd be using and you don't use it, feel free to comment down below. I'd be curious to hear what your experiences are. Now, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in, and I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting this channel. Take care. Bye-bye.